podcast about people making the world a better place.
Oh, I'm sorry. This Wordle is killing me. You know, I've never gotten the Wordle, Kellyanne, in one shot. Have you?
No.
Okay, thank you, Kellyanne. Welcome to Aardvark Interviews. Of course, with me, as always, is the Canadian Goose goddess, Kellyanne. Kellyanne, how is the Great White North?
The Great White North is fantastic.
Now, let me ask you a question, Kellyanne, before we get heavy into the acting business. I heard that Chancellor Putin might invade Canada. Is there any truth to that statement?
I don't watch the news.
Very good, Kellyanne. Very good. And
So it's new to me.
Where is Manhattan, Kellyanne?
New York, right?
Thank you, Kellyanne.
Yeah.
We're making progress in current world affairs.
You know, before we start, what an amazing intro. The beginning that Teddy just put up, that was amazing.
It was amazing. And it was your voice introducing.
I know. That's why it was so good.
Wow. I'm just going to...
It was like, that's me.
Yeah. The Aardvark will have to move aside for the Canadian Goose goddess who is just taking over. And, you know, I'll be very sad to see the day that I leave. Oh, I can't wait till this ends. No, I'm just kidding. But Kellyanne, you've made great strides as a fan of the show. And always, if you want to talk to the Aardvark or Kellyanne, it's aardvarkinterviews@gmail.com. And we actually had somebody, do you remember a guest of ours, Benjamin, who was upset about getting his degree or not getting his master's degree? And we had a ceremony with the help of our ardent producer, Teddy, where we gave him an award. Do you remember that?
That was a great show. Yeah, definitely. I remember that. And once again, congratulations, Benjamin.
All right. Kellyanne, I can't remember. What's the name of the production company again?
It's Hello, Hooray.
There you go, Kellyanne. And what is the goal of the show?
There's a goal?
There's a goal. She's thinking hockey now. Oh, did they score? Oh. What's it all about?
It's about people making the world a better place.
Ah, you go. You're the one who said it on the promo. Oh, my God. She's a star now, and, you know, she's got to get her, you know. We were talking about moon water. Before we bring out today's great guest, Peggy J, Scott, and if you want to see what a professional actor or actress, whatever you want to say, looks like, you'll see in a few seconds. Kellyanne, what about, we broached the subject about moon water, and then we were talking about moon milk. Is it possible to make moon milk?
I think definitely it's possible. I don't drink cow's milk, so I drink like almond milk or coconut milk. So I'm sure it'd be completely safe on a little bit of a chilly night. Just put it out there and let the moon absorb its energy. I think it'd be great.
Will it go sour though?
I don't think so. I'm gonna, you know what? The full moon just passed, so I'll wait till next full moon, and I'm definitely gonna try it. I'm gonna make some moon milk, and you know, top it up in my tea.
And will you report your experiment and your findings?
Definitely. And if I'm violently ill, well, we'll know not to do it, right? But I'm willing to, you know, take the bullet and try it.
All right. What's the name of the Patreon account that nobody sends money to? I mean, that people, if you have a few shekels. You know, she doesn't even have a hat tonight, poor Kellyanne.
No more hats. It is Hello Hooray Live, right?
Okay. And what's the Aardvark's Patreon?
Aardvark Interview Live.
Well, close. Interviews.
Aardvark Interviews?
Is it plural? Yeah, who knows? I don't even go in there. because I don't want to get sad and cry in my pillow again at night. But tonight's guest's done crying on stage professionally. She's been in off Broadway plays. She's been on Netflix. She's been all over television, movies, everything. She's a sensational actor, a dear friend of mine, dear friend of mine. And, I even helped her cross the street once when she hurt her leg in a
Mm-hmm.
rugby accident. She
All
played the
true.
part of Molly Gringwald, a top female rugby player. And, she took one for the team, dealt out a lot of punishment, but she hurt her leg, and we helped each other across the street.
That's right.
Peggy, what's up?
Well, you should have seen the other guy after I finished with that game. It was, we made it work. We made it work. Yes. And I
Listen
remember
to
you
that voice. I'm so happy you're here today. Thank you for saying yes.
Well, I'm glad to do it. You're a friend, and I wanted to say yes. So here we
Wonderful.
are.
Kellyanne, do you have any questions for Peggy Scott?
Well, Peggy, first of all, I'm blown away about the rugby accident. I was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean rugby
So am
accident?
I just
So
made it up 3
it's like,
seconds ago. Yeah.
I was like,
Uh,
what the
yeah.
hell? That's a great story. But I kind of was checking you out a little bit before I came
Ooh.
on the podcast. And I want to ask you right off, what is your favorite animal?
Oh gosh, so many. I think giraffes are really interesting.
Ooh, giraffes. Okay, I thought you were going to say elephant because that's one of my favorite.
Oh, I love elephants too. I love
But
the
giraffe, yeah, giraffes are
yeah.
they're pretty intense, like with that big long neck.
I know they look like they shouldn't work, but they really do, and they can run. And but
What
yeah,
do you mean work? Do you mean they're employed?
yeah, all the time. No, the way they run, the way those long legs and the neck, and they just look like the pieces all are a little mismatched. But
All right, let me ask you
Yeah,
a
those little
question.
tiny legs yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do they sleep?
I don't know.
Do they
They
sleep
probably
standing up or laying down?
no. I think they lay down. Like with horses, they say can sleep standing up, and a
Standing up.
lot of animals do. Sometimes animals have like some sort of a structure. Like I was out on the ocean for a long time, and I would see these birds that had wings that would just stay out and they would fly and fly and fly. And I thought, my God, their wings must be tired. But no, they've got a little apparatus in the back by their spine where the wings attach, and it just kind of clicks into place, and
Wow.
it just holds. So I don't know. Maybe animals who can sleep standing up have something like that, where their legs kind of lock and they feel like they're on a solid platform. But I don't really know, Andrew. That's a good question.
How do elephants sleep?
I don't know how you picked the wrong guest. I'm failing you right and left here.
Elephants sleep laying down. But
Mhm.
yeah, they do.
That's true.
Uh, I actually saw a picture of a bunch of elephants that were
Napping.
sleeping, that were caught in the wild sleeping. It was very cute, I must say. But that's the only reason I know that. I look at pictures. I have problems with words. Kellyanne, do you have a question for our wonderful professional guest tonight, Peggy J. Scott?
Yeah, okay, I have a question. If you can describe yourself, um, like how you're feeling right now, is if you were an amusement park, what ride would you be?
What ride would I be? Um, I'd be I'd be Funhouse Mirrors.
Wow,
Ooh,
that's
Funhouse Mirror is very mysterious and
an exceptional
misleading.
answer. Exceptional answer.
Well, I'm looking at the two of you, and on Zoom. Not that I'm not used to being on Zoom. We all are, but
Yeah.
it's just like I know Andrew. Now he's just this little square on a
Mm,
piece of glass in a place where Andrew has never been, and you, Kellyanne, all the way up in Canada. I
mm.
mean, this whole thing is, and I always feel kind of lightly attached to planet Earth, anyhow. Like it's all so amazing and so solid, but so completely unrealistic. And, this just adds to it.
All right, let me ask you a question, Peggy. Is it true that you just took a trip around the world talking about the planet Earth?
I was, and I got to see elephants. In fact, I was remembering the giraffes I saw. There was a mother giraffe and a baby giraffe.
And the
And
baby giraffes are like 20 feet tall to begin with, right?
pretty tall, much taller than most babies. And then the sister of the mother. So it was the mother, the auntie, and the baby. And yeah, so I went to Cambodia, Vietnam,
Wow.
Sri Lanka, Japan, Botswana, Zimbabwe,
Holy
Zambia. It was
And
pretty
what
remarkable.
was your favorite place?
I really liked Botswana. It was
Really?
amazing being in Africa out on the, out in, I guess, I don't know what they call it, the Svelte, the plains. What is it in Africa? But just out on the wild, wild land.
Wow.
And I saw a leopard. I mean, I saw lions, giraffe, elephants, lots of monkeys.
Wow.
Really,
When did you do this? Was this just recent that you went on this trip?
I left January of 2020. And
Wow.
I was in Africa when the pandemic was starting to happen. And I thought, yeah, it's okay. I'll just stay one step ahead of it. If I run out of money, I'll work in the lodges, go back to hippie waitress days. And then everything was closing down. And I realized if I didn't get to South Africa and get home on one of the last seats I was able to book on a flight, I'd be out of luck. And the weather there was always clear, no problem. On the day that I was supposed to leave, and I was on these little puddle jumpers, like 4-seaters, 6-seaters, to get to an airport, to get to the airport where you could actually get back to the States. And it was cloudy and rainy, and the pilot was sitting there at breakfast, just kicking back and saying, well, I don't know if we're going to get out today. And I said, let's go and be quiet and do a little thinking, a little positive meditation here, because we have to get out today. We have to get out. There's no wait.
So you successfully made it out of Africa.
Made it out of Africa. Yeah.
I'm sorry that had to come
And
out.
oh wow, that's amazing. That's kind of one of my worst fears is like ever since I can remember is to leave the country, like leave Canada, and I come back and they say no. It was like, oh my God. And I also traveled during the pandemic. I left the country for the very first time going to the United States. And that was in my head the whole time. One thing when I was traveling was I was worried about the United States kidnappers because that was just a thing in my head. I was worried about being kidnapped the whole time. And I was worried about, when I come back that I'm going to get to the border and they're going to say, no, you could stay where you are. But it all worked out. I'm back in Canada.
But they did that for a while. They weren't letting Americans go, even to go shopping, I read.
No, that's right. The borders did close down. I was able to go to the United States and come back, but people from the United States cannot come into Canada.
Yeah. Where did you go and what did you do? What was your trip about?
Well, since I've started traveling the United States, I went by myself. So it was it was like facing my fears of just traveling. And at first I went to Arizona and California for a couple months, and then I came back. And then I went back and met a friend in California, and we took a train all the way up the coast, like up the California coast, and all the way across the country by train. I did like over 8,000 miles.
Wow.
And it was just meeting different friends and whatnot. It was an incredible experience. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's so funny to think of the United States as being like this exotic destination for you. Like when you talk to California, just the way you said the word California. You said it in a way that I don't say California, I mean, it just such a different perspective. That's what I mean. It's all funhouse mirrors.
Yeah, definitely.
So what did you think of the United States? Let me question you.
There you go.
I love the United States. And it's funny because I had no desire to ever go into the United States. It's just because of Zoom and I just started meeting people all over the country. And I just thought, you know what? I want to meet these people face to face. And that's what I started doing is just going around. And like I'm going this week, I'm going to Ontario, which I'm in Alberta. So I'm flying down to see a friend for dinner in Ontario on Wednesday. And then I'm coming back. And then in next month, I'm going to go to Hawaii and just, you know what I mean? And it's not like I'm going
to Hawaii?
I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to Hawaii. Yeah, I'm going to Hawaii.
Oh my God. When are you going
there? And
it's
just because I know a bunch of people out in March. And I just want to go visit my friends and see them in person. and it's incredible. Just yeah.
That's just great. Because you don't, I mean, I've been to the Gulf Islands on the West Coast, and there's the Gulf Stream that kind of warms that area. But other than slightly warm, I don't think you have anything nearly as tropical as Hawaii, do you? No.
No.
All right, let's
So
talk about
it's gonna be
acting.
fun.
Enough of this travel and elephants. Do they piss when they're standing up or whatever? All right.
I love talking about travel.
Yeah, I love animals. The Aardvark loves animals.
I bet.
Make no mistake about that. Now, you've been doing a lot of stuff. There's no question about that. You travel all around the place to act.
I traveled to Connecticut recently.
I loved you in The Americans. I loved you in that. And who was your co-actor in that? Who were you married to in that?
Oh, what's his name? Richard?
Did he just pass away recently?
Oh, I don't think so. And I'm not even sure it was Richard. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, lovely actor.
Yeah.
He was in, wasn't he in Three's Company years ago?
Yeah.
What's his name? And I think he played the wizard in Wicked. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember.
No. He played a sergeant. He had his own TV series. Major Dad or no, Major
Richard Klein, that's what it was. Richard Klein.
No, it wasn't Richard Klein. No. It wasn't Dabney Coleman. It was somebody like him.
Well,
he played a senator or something in that show?
Oh, no, you're thinking about the show with Kevin Spacey. Yes, and he played Major Dad.
What was his name?
Damn. I do
this
these
is great.
shows.
We can't remember anybody's name in Hollywood anymore.
Gerald McRaney.
That's it, Gerald McRaney, who I actually really loved as an actor.
Oh,
what was he like?
He was lovely. He was absolutely lovely. He was such a gentleman. Now, I did House of Cards with him, not The Americans.
House of Cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was such a gentleman and so kind. And, I think our political opinions were different, but it never even mattered. I loved him. And I've seen him on so many TV shows, and he's done so many things.
Yeah.
And,
was Kevin Spacey on the show when you were there?
I had a scene with him. It was one of the first Netflix movies that was ever done, one of the first Netflix productions.
That's right.
And I remember thinking at the time, Netflix is making a movie. What sort of low rent thing is this going to be? And I had auditioned with the scene, but I had no idea who my scene partner was going to be. And it turned out to be Kevin Spacey and Gerald. Yeah.
He's a pretty good actor, Kevin Spacey, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's an excellent actor.
But he's also kind of freakish too, huh?
I don't know.
I know you can't say anything. But but the Aardvark will say things. Okay, now
I will say one interesting thing.
Yes.
Part of me can say, Kevin Spacey or Gerald McRaney. But then when you sit down at the table and you're doing the scene, couldn't be more natural. We're just all a bunch of actors working together. And that was really kind of a revelation for me.
Wow.
Peggy, do you play cards? Speaking of House of Cards, do you play cards?
I used to. I haven't in a long time, but I used to play hearts. And I don't remember. But yeah, I've always enjoyed cards, but not so.
Yeah. Kellyanne's up to something. I see the look in her eye.
No, my dog. I had to leave real quick because my dog was freaking out at the door. So I got some cheese to try to distract her, so she won't bark.
So instead, you ate the cheese. Okay.
Yeah,
but,
it's good cheese.
Do you have any internet things that you like attached to your name or anything like that?
You can put up my IMDb.
Where people can see you?
Or you could put up my website, peggyjscott.com.
peggyjscott.com. Okay, great. Thank you. We were talking something about some Netflix thing you're on. You're doing that?
Oh, yeah. So recently I did a movie called Mr. Harrigan's Phone, based on a Stephen King novella.
Oh, sweet. I was going to ask you about horror movies, if you had any interest in those at all.
Well, it's the
Okay.
only one that falls into the horror genre, and it's not really horror. It's kind of spooky, creepy.
Spooky, creepy's cool.
It's kind of surreal. And Donald Sutherland played Mr. Harrigan.
No way.
Yeah. And I got to meet him. He was so lovely.
He was, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good story. And John Lee Hancock, who's the director, is
Oh, yeah.
terrific. Just terrific.
Is he good, huh?
So Peggy, is it sort of like a thriller type of a movie?
It is. I wouldn't say it's thriller, but it's mysterious, and you're not quite sure what's going on. Because I don't really think of myself as being a fan of horror, but I was a fan of this script. It wasn't like bloody slasher.
When is that coming out?
It'll probably be out in like November of 2022 this year. We shot it November, December of 2021.
So it's a movie.
Yes.
Okay. And what's it called again?
Mr. Harrigan's Phone.
Foam?
Phone, like cell phone.
Oh, okay. So not foam.
No.
Mr. Harrigan's.
And it's part of a collection of novellas that was more or less recently published by Stephen King, called, I think, Let It Bleed, or If It Bleeds.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but good. I'm embarrassed to say this, I had never read Stephen King, but I went to the library knowing that it was based on this novella, got it out, and boy, he's such a page turner. What a great writer.
Wow.
I'm here to tell you, Stephen King's a really good writer.
No, is he really? Yeah. What do you think, Kellyanne? I see you percolating over there.
Yeah, no, Stephen King is definitely a good writer. And I've always enjoyed the books way more. And I just recently started getting into books, but the books are way more in depth than the films. But Peggy, what is the first gig or role that you've ever done?
You mean professionally?
Yeah, professionally.
My first show in New York ever was at La Mama, which is a little theater in New York. Yeah. It was called for a long time La Mama. Maybe it still is La Mama ETC, Ensemble Theater Company, or Experimental. It was Experimental Theater Company. And it came out of like a long time ago, 50s, 60s. And they did all kinds of interesting experimental things then. And they still do really unusual, wonderful things, sometimes international. And the woman who started it, Ellen Stewart, who died a number of years ago, everybody called her Mama. Right. So it was La Mama. And it was a short story that we had turned, not we, but the playwright had turned into a play. It was called The Pair. And it was about a couple of turkeys. I played a dancing chicken. And it was directed by a woman who had been in the Israeli army.
Wow.
And who actually fought in that skirmish that happened in the 1968, 69. It was a very important battle. So it was.
Was it a battle between the chickens? I don't know. I'm trying to figure.
No.
Where did the dancing chickens figure into this?
Well, it was a Shalom Aleichem fable that we it turned into a play. So it was peopled by all of these barnyard critters. And I saw it in backstage, and I had no union card, and I just thought, I'm going to go audition. And I was supposed to go to grad school, but I had been at that grad school during the summer, and we had done the summer stock season, and I really didn't want to go back. So I said, if I can get a job in New York, whatever it is,
wow,
I'm going to stay. So I got the job, and I stayed.
Wow, that is so cool.
$200 in my pocket. That was my.
Wow, and you still got that same $200 in your pocket.
Framed in the other room.
Thanks to acting.
So what is your favorite role that you've ever done, Peggy?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. I have done Shakespeare, and
wow.
I would have to say that there's a play called Winter's Tale, which has a beautiful role, Paulina. That was one of my favorites. The story, in a nutshell, being a king kind of goes insanely jealous and accuses his wife of infidelity, which is totally untrue, and he thinks that he has killed her. And years later, I am part of the story in helping him to make amends and work through his remorse, and through whether it's magic or stagecraft or what, we realize that I can bring her back from the dead, and there's a kind of magical healing that even when I'm telling you about it gives me goosebumps. It is the most hopeful story ever. And I love comedy. I love, if it's a good character and good people, there are three things that will make me take a job: a really great part, really good people to work with, or a big paycheck. And sometimes they come together, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But any one of those will make me seriously consider doing a job. It's, just what you feel about it. And I love working with people I respect and admire. And John Lee Hancock was pretty astonishing. And working and on Friday, I'm going to be doing an episode. I have a little recurring role on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Right.
And Amy Sherman Palladino and her husband, Danny Sherman Palladino, are masters at the form.
Wow.
So it'll be fun working with them.
Right. So what's the order, though? What's the prime order of those three things? Money, people, script.
The script.
The part, yeah.
Yeah.
That's number one?
Yeah.
What's number two?
The people.
Money is third?
That was going to be my question too, is like, if you had a mediocre script, like an okay kind of part, no, say good script, but just an okay part, and crap money, but the people were amazing, would you still do the job? That was completely what hit me. And you basically answered that question.
Because you never know what can happen. For example, remember to record this, but do you know the actor Ron Cephas Jones? He was just in Clyde's on Broadway, and he's more well known, I'm sure, for a TV show called This Is Us.
This Is Us.
Plays.
It's a great show.
The father, the father who abandoned the child.
Yeah.
Well, he sent a text earlier today saying that Kenny Leon, with whom I worked at the Public years ago, directed a production of, blanking on the name of the play, but the part that he's doing wasn't even in it. And Kenny said to him, just see what you can imagine, see what you can come up with. And so there was nothing really there, but he made it happen. And it was because of the people he was working with.
Did you meet Joseph Papp?
No, I never did.
Okay. What about the play Switzerland? What'd you think of that?
Well, that was a fascinating exploration. I played Patricia Highsmith, who, well-known author and an alcoholic, a lesbian in the 40s and 50s when that was not cool at all. I had a terrible mother, a mother who told her, "Oh, I tried to abort you, but unfortunately it didn't work." I mean, everything that could go against her did. And I think a lot of the anger she felt towards the world and towards what had happened to her was directed inwards. And I interviewed a publisher she had worked with. And he said she was not a nice person. Apparently, he was going to go with a young assistant who was so in awe of meeting Patricia Highsmith. She brought her a rose, and they were going to meet her and go out to dinner. And the young assistant said, "Oh, I'm such a fan of your work. Here's a rose." And Highsmith just took it and threw it on the ground. Just bitter, angry at the world.
Talented
Talented Mr. Ripley. That was one of the things she's best known for.
Did you have to portray that in your?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you get into the character to be me? Like, you're just such a sweet person and everything.
Well, I studied with Uta Hagen many years ago, and she
Yeah.
always said that within each of us, there's a little sliver of all aspects of humanity,
Uh,
and that we can identify with people depending on the circumstances. If, given the right circumstances, if somebody had done something really horrible, I would have a
Right.
very different response to them than I am to you right now. And I think about that with other people in the world who behave badly, to my mind. And I
Right.
think, what's the backstory? You don't know. You don't know.
So you studied at HP Studios years ago?
Yes.
Wow. That was a studio to all our people who aren't into acting or aren't as cultured as us. That was an acting studio, and it was Uta Hagen, and what was the other guy's name? Burkhoff?
Her husband, Herbert Berghoff. And it's still going on with amazing teachers and wonderful classes. And her class, she said famously, she said, a lot of teachers charge, really high rates for their classes. And she said, I don't believe young actors who really want to learn the craft should have to pay that much. So she was famous for keeping her fees down.
So did you lean more towards the method acting or the Meisner?
Well, I'd say it's probably
A
a
mix?
blend of both. I mean, I think they overlap. I've studied a little bit of Meisner, and the thing I remember is, the repetition and how that helps you with the immediacy. So you are not thinking about what you're going to say. But Buddha had exercises to do that too. It's just different approaches.
Right.
I think anything that helps you. And I think sometimes we can know instinctively who the character is, how to play that character. And technique then comes in when we don't know, when we have a gap, or technique comes in if you have to do it night after night, month after month after month, and it starts to lose its freshness.
Have you ever thought about teaching acting?
I have taught acting.
Oh, well, there you go for that. But tell us, see, I haven't talked to Peggy in a number of years, so I don't know what the hell's going on. We're in a
Yeah.
pandemic. Give me a break,
Yeah.
Kellyanne.
Yeah.
All right. So where did you teach? What was your
I taught in
gig?
California. I taught the American Academy of Dramatic Arts there.
Oh,
in
wow.
California. Then I taught at ACT in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I don't think I've ever taught in New York. I've done some coaching here, but not formally in a class situation.
Did you like that?
I did.
Cool.
I did. Because I learned so much. And, even if you're watching other people do the scene work, you're learning. No matter what side you're on, you're all part of the same gem. You're just on different facets of it all. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
Did you see the Kaminsky Method?
I haven't yet. No.
Really?
I got to watch it.
I think it's a treasure. But Kellyanne, you've seen the Kaminsky Method. What do you think?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, it was just get over to you anyway.
No, I haven't. I can't even lie.
Kellyanne,
Yeah.
there's a segment of the show called Kelly's Questions, where Kellyanne prepares 2 or 3, or I don't know how many thoughts you can have for the day, questions to our guest tonight's revered, real actor person, Peggy J. Scott. Kellyanne, what's that? I think it's Eddie's asleep. I'm trying to go on to get your promo up.
Where's my intro, Teddy?
Where's Kellyanne's
He's in the bathroom
intro?
again.
Yeah, Kellyanne loves the intro to Kelly's Questions with the goose and the this and the that.
I can't wait to hear it, see it.
Yeah, it'll be the questions will be lacking.
Maybe it'll happen after. Maybe it'll happen after. But I'll start with the questions.
Well, I already had 2 answers: giraffe and funhouse mirrors. So
but you got them both wrong. So okay, go ahead, Kelly.
Oh dear.
Okay. What would you do if you came home right now and found a penguin in your freezer?
Oh my God, what an insane question. I
Well,
love it.
I'd have to ask, how did you get in there? Because the freezer is pretty full. And
Pretty
then,
full of penguins.
A
yeah,
penguin's really crafty. You just move everything out and just hang out, you know?
I guess, yeah. So that's why all this stuff is on the floor. Um, well, it's pretty cold here, so I might get the old dog leash and say, "You want to take a walk with me on the wild side?"
Oh,
Oh, that's so cute.
yeah, that's kind of a happy feet kind of story to it. That's very sweet. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll stick with the freezer thing and we'll say,
Oh
what is the
no.
weirdest thing in your freezer right now?
Oh God.
Oh, it's not weird, but it's sad.
Is it Kevin Spacey? Okay.
No,
All right.
and I'm icing my knee because for some reason it was bothering me. What's the weirdest thing? Well, this isn't weird. I made some blueberry scones yesterday, so they're in there. I don't have too much that's weird. I have peas and carrots that I'm going to have for dinner. That's kind of weird, like cafeteria food. Gosh, I feel like I'm not doing well with my questions.
Yeah.
No,
This is
you're
a
doing great. It's just
well.
I'm the one that has the weird stuff in the freezer, so I thought it'd be a great
What
question.
do you have? What in the old days it was a bottle of vodka, but that's not happening these days. So
Well, what is in your freezer, Kellyanne?
Um, well, there's probably a lot of strange things in my freezer, but I think what people like for ice cubes, I don't have regular ice cubes. I have celery water for my ice cubes and lemon kind of thing, and I use that as ice cubes, so that could be considered weird. I have
that's a great idea. Now, Andrew, I know why I said yes to you. That's worth the price of admission.
Celery water?
Yeah, because celery water is a really big pain in the ass to juice. So I get a whole bunch of celery and I juice a whole bunch all at once. And then I put it in a bunch of freezer trays. And then I fill up a bag and it's just all ice cubes of celery.
That sounds
And I
delicious.
drink that every day.
Do you do it with cucumber? Because
Interesting.
cucumber is surprisingly delicious when you mix it with lemon and lime.
Cucumber is absolutely delicious, but I do like about 4 big batches of celery and then I add like 1 or 2 apples and then a lemon. And then I just make ice cubes out of it. And then I have like separate just lemon ice cubes. And that's kind of, yeah,
That's cool.
that's one of the stranger things I have.
I don't have anything that would press the celery though. What do you have? How do you do that?
I just have a juicer. I used
Oh,
to have an
right.
apple tree. I used to have an apple tree
Oh,
at my house, and we
oh,
got so many apples. So we would just go and pick the apples off the ground because and they get all beaten up, and we would juice apple juice every day. So
oh,
now I
that's
don't have an apple
delicious.
tree anymore, but so I just I juice things like carrots
I
and
used to
whatever.
I used to have a Myers lemon tree in the back of my house in California. And people would see me coming because I was always giving away, so many lemons. They were so delicious, but I never
Oh,
thought to freeze the juice. That's a
that
Wow.
great
was
idea.
one of my funnest things when I was out in the United
Mhm.
States. I would randomly run into people's yards and grab a few lemons and limes. I just thought, oh my God. And I just so
Hmm.
appreciated, like, I picked this,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I have an
No, no,
orange in my hand. Yeah.
no. Actually, you stole this. You didn't pick it. You stole this.
But yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they didn't mind. They
What
weren't
if they
home.
deported you?
What if they kept me? That would have been worse.
That's true. You got a good point. You got a good point.
That was probably the most rogue thing I did when I was in the United States because I was scared. I was scared the whole time I was there. Like, what if they keep me? What if they don't let me back? So a few lemons, I was pretty positive that they weren't going to keep me for a couple lemons or limes. Yeah.
And the rules kept changing. So you had a legitimate fear in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did, and I had a really hard time of getting tested to get across, and it came right down to the wire. Because when I went into the airport, a bunch of people, there was a family of 5, and 2 of the people, their tests came through, and the rest didn't. So they basically they couldn't leave the
Whole
country.
family.
And
Oh
when
my
I
God.
flew back, there was like 3 people on the plane. So it was great. I felt like a celebrity. I had like the private jet thing going on, and yeah, I truly enjoyed it. It was yeah, I made the most out of it. So it was great. But I have one more question.
So,
And if you did not have to sleep anymore,
oh,
how would you spend the extra 8 hours?
I would read and watch movies.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
get
I
to
think
read and watch enough movies. And it's part of our work, you know? But it just, I mean, plus we're doing all of these self-tapes these days.
Yes.
That takes up a big chunk of time. And yeah, maybe exercise more. I don't know. I love to sleep. Sleeping is one of life's delicious pleasures. And it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
I find with age I sleep less. Like I
Really?
don't need it. Like I
Really?
sleep 3-4 hours and I don't need any more. But I'm pretty high
4
energy. But
hours. That's a
4
nap
hours of
for
sleep,
me.
yeah, 4 hours is probably max I get, and I'm lucky to get that.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
I would not survive on 4 hours.
yeah, I can't sleep anymore.
Wow.
If I sleep anymore, I'm tired. Then I get tired if I sleep more. So, Peggy, like this isn't part of Kelly's questions, but as far as the pandemic and whatnot, do you find like I've seen a lot of people where the pandemic has just brought them right down, like the isolation and everything, and it's done that to a lot of people. But I've seen some people absolutely flourish in the pandemic, where like things like it was life changing in a good way. How do you feel the pandemic? Like it seems like for you, it didn't even phase you, the pandemic.
Well, I think I have a tendency to figure things out, even in tough circumstances. I kind of stumble in the right direction, call it grace or whatever. But I was living in Manhattan. I was living on the Upper West Side, and when I came back to Garrison, which is a very small town. There's no town here really in the Hudson Valley, and it was weird because I was living here full time. I didn't go back to my apartment for several months.
Hmm.
I did the classic thing. I learned how to bake bread really well. I've kept doing that. I was driving along one day and I saw a woman and I said, rolled down the window and I said, "Do I know you? You look familiar." And she said, "No, I don't think so, but you look familiar to me." And we've become good friends and walking buddies. So I have people I walk with. I do see people occasionally. I did some writing about my travels, the aforementioned self-tapes, which take up time. Um, I have I've readjusted my life to a large degree, and now I still go into New York, maybe a couple of times a week, but the isolation is hard, but I found ways to cope with it, I guess is what I would say. And I'm in a
You just
book
learned
club.
how to fill your time, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I did some work on the house here. I found a way to shop for some furniture online because I wanted to change some things out. Um, so I've done okay. I had a pretty good pandemic, but
Okay.
you know,
Are you in Garrison now?
yeah. I
Do you
am.
think that house is haunted? Right, right there.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
If you think it's haunted, you just tell them to leave. You just be very assertive and you tell them to
Shoot,
leave.
shoot.
Yeah.
Go
No,
ahead.
you just get out of my way. You just learn to live with them.
Yeah.
Right, like the Babadook. Right. Exactly. Another great horror movie. If you haven't seen it.
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
Okay, that's great. I'm just talking to myself here. Now, Peggy, what would you tell an up and coming actor? What advice or suggestion from your own experience and knowledge that you have accumulated today? What would you tell?
I'd say get good training, and that can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be big bucks NYU, although if you want to go there, there are some wonderful teachers in the different schools. You can find wonderful studios here in New York City. Um, but I think learn from people whose work you admire.
Mm.
And for people who want to get into television, maybe be a PA for a while. You know,
Mm.
watch how the sausage is made, and see
Mm.
if you really like it, because I think a lot of people don't understand what it's really like.
Yeah.
Um, get in showcases, do non-union stuff. Don't try to join the union right away. I know somebody
Right.
who did that, and then she could only compete with other union actors, and
Right.
it was really hard for her. So try it, do it, see if your idea of it matches the reality.
All right. And who are some of your acting idols?
Well, Uta Hagen, Kate Blanchett, I think is really remarkable. And I guess the everyday actors in New York who work consistently, they may not be big stars, this is a cliche too, but they show up, they do great work, no matter what the size of the role that they're doing.
Right.
And there are a lot of them. Who are some
Do
of
you feel that like through acting and like going to a great school and all that, do you feel that you get life skills from acting?
Yes, you know what, I thought about this in recent months. Acting is the path that I chose to take going through life. I fell in love with it when I was a kid. It was kind of magical. It was interesting. I was emotionally moved by seeing plays like The Crucible and Romeo and Juliet. And in acting, I worked with the National Theater of the Deaf. I worked with the Negro Ensemble Company. I was having life experiences I might or might not have had if I had become a veterinarian or, gone to law school or something. I'm sure I would have had other wonderful experiences there too. But it's provided a wonderful path through life. And I've met so many different people and had so many different experiences. I realized when I was in Portugal with National Theater of the Deaf that it was easier for me to communicate with deaf people with sign language than it was with hearing people.
Wow.
And
that's extraordinary.
Yeah. And when I was on the bus with the Negro Ensemble Company and made several good friends I'm still in touch with these days, took one friend, big star now, to a party in Seattle. And I walked in and I said, boy, white people sure are quiet, aren't they? I had seen the world, through different eyes. And, I hope that's not an offensive thing to say, but we were a wild and raucous bunch on the bus and pretty much everywhere we went. And it just, like Uta said, you can shift your focus and you can see the world through many different pairs of eyes.
Do you have any routines to keep up your energy and to keep your focus right on point? Like, is there any routine that you go through?
I meditate and I exercise. My self-tapes serve as a kind of studio practice for me. I love watching movies and TV. I learn a lot that way.
Do you love watching yourself?
No.
Why?
I don't know, because the important part of it is the doing it and the imagining of it while you're doing it, the connection while you're doing it. I had to put a reel together, obviously, with somebody who helped me with that. But that's sort of the commodification of the work. I'm more interested in the process of it.
So do you feel while you're in the making, you stay very present, like you stay in the moment, you're done your project, and now off to the next kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's great.
Well, it's just the way it works.
All right, let me ask you a question here. Let's go a little off the page here with all this happy horse shit. All right. Have you ever had a role or something, went through it, agreed to it, or kind of, and said, no, this is not what that person would say or how that person would act, or this is racist, or this is stereotypical of how a woman is viewed, but is not really a woman, or something like that.
Yeah, I turned down a role because it had such racist overtones. I just didn't want those words coming out of my mouth.
Okay.
I said no. And there have been times when I've made a case with the playwright, if they're living and there and willing to talk, that maybe we could try something else. On the other hand, I worked with a brilliant English director, Michael Blakemore, who directed a play called Is he dead? And I remember in the rehearsal room one day, David Ives, who was the playwright on it, they hit a snag in one of the scenes, and David said, I can change that. And David is very quick and very skilled. He's really an extraordinary playwright. And Michael said, no. This is what you wrote. Let's give it a chance. So that kind of changed my thinking, because I think prior to that, I would have thought, yeah, it's not working, just change it. But Michael respected the writer, the playwright, enough to say, no, maybe there's something in here that we're missing. Maybe it's not the words, maybe it's us.
The interpretation, the actor's interpretation.
Yeah, at least give it a chance, work at it.
Right.
Yeah.
You could say something, a line, in myriad of ways and convey different meaning. We know that. So.
Well, of course, yeah. And what's the relationship? What are the nuances?
And Kellyanne, deliver us a line.
What?
Deliver a line.
What do you mean deliver a line? You know I'm not an actress.
Deliver the line. How did I get in here?
Oh my God, how the hell did I get in here?
All right. Now say it somberly, like sadly.
How did I get in here?
Look at that.
Or how did I get in here?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for 40 shows. Yeah. I've been saying that. But do you enjoy improvisation? One of our audience members has asked. Do you enjoy?
I do. Years ago, when I was a student, I went to ACT in the conservatory in San Francisco. Paul Sills came through and did story theater.
Oh, wow.
And then he was teaching down in LA. So between my 2 years at ACT, I went down to LA and did some classes with him and Valerie Harper, Henry Winkler, John Savage was in that group. Yeah.
Funds.
And we did theater games, which are like, Viola Spolin, like games you play that are just so much fun and loosen everybody up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I would love to do some more improv work. I would really like that. I think it's
all right. Is there anything coming up that you'd like to promote? And shameless promotions.
Well, it won't be out for many months, but Mr. Harrigan's Phone coming in probably November of this year. And then I'm not on season 4, the episode that's dropping now of Mrs. Maisel, but I'll be peppered in. At least I know I'm in the first episode of season 5.
What role is that? What do you play there?
I play Verla, the saucy waitress at the Stage Deli.
That should be good. Oh, I can't wait. Verla.
Yeah.
That's a freaky ass name. Love it. Kellyanne, do you have any questions for our esteemed, brilliant actor and friend and person, Peggy J. Scott?
Peggy, I am so glad that Andrew gave me a working link for today's podcast, because you have been a complete breath of fresh air. It's very, very lovely meeting you, and you just seem to be so centered and at peace. And this was it was great meeting you. The only thing I have one question, and is there something out there that's very simple that still just blows your mind?
Just how things grow.
The dog.
A dog, how things grow. Like I had a garden the last couple of summers, and that's just, you plant a little seed and you get a butternut squash.
Oh, wow.
How does that happen? I mean, the whole thing is pretty amazing. And if you come to New York, Kellyanne, please reach out. You can find out.
Definitely. I plan to come to New York eventually, and I definitely will.
I'd love to meet you in person. And this has been a lot of fun. I was a little hesitant last night when Andrew contacted me, but
I am every time I come on the show too. I'm like, but it's always is great fun. It's always great fun.
This is lovely. Thank you so much for having me. I
Oh,
really
thank you.
enjoyed it.
Thank you, Peggy. Hopefully we'll get you down the road again. Did he bribe you? I bribe all my guests. Mr. Short of the Beast, whatever kind of name that is. I bribe everyone. I bribe them with my good looks and fabulous words.
Your wit. Your wit.
Yeah, my wit. So thank you, Peggy J. Scott. Catch her out on Netflix coming up, and she's gone. She couldn't wait to get the hell out of here. And thank you, Kellyanne, our Canadian Goose goddess, turning into an actor right in front of my eyes. You see the two versions she did there. How did I get here, or whatever the hell it was? Can't remember. Alzheimer's. So, what do you think, Kellyanne? What do you think?
I think this was an amazing episode, and yeah, the only reason why I could act is because I couldn't think about it. You just put me on the spot.
Ah.
It was just, oh shit! My brain didn't have time to argue.
What's the name of the production company?
Hello, Hooray!
Hello, Hooray! Aardvark Interviews every Monday night, 5:30 p.m. Next week we'll have another sensational guest, hopefully. I'm Andrew Aardvark. It's Kellyanne, the Canadian Goose. Teddy's behind the scenes pushing all the buttons today. And Patreon accounts, Hello Hooray Live. And you also go to Aardvark Interviews. And making the world a better, what is it, Kellyanne?
I gotta write it down.
Making the world a better place or something, right? Yeah.
I'm
She
gonna write
doesn't
it down
remember.
because I don't know it.
Her voice is on the promos, yet she doesn't remember the copy. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. You did a wonderful job, except for that space heater air conditioner behind you, which bothered Peggy.
I have in my head right.
Yeah, she got her head's too small, though. Her head's too small to box with God.
Okay, maybe I should sit up a little bit straighter. There you go.
Yeah, put a towel over and it'll look like a ghost.
I'm gonna cover it because now I'm all self-conscious about it. But damn air conditioner.
Peggy's
And I
haunted
live in
house.
Canada.
Yeah. Do they have haunted houses in Canada?
Of course they do. They actually have one in Niagara Falls that I'm going to, but I don't think I'm going to visit it because I don't think there's a guarantee that I'm going to see a ghost. So I'd rather go see the falls instead.
Yeah.
If I'm not going to see a ghost, I'm not going.
You want a guarantee about this?
I want a guarantee to see a ghost. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful.
But I don't want to bring the ghost home with me, so that's another reason why I don't want to go.
like the Babadook.
Yeah. Get some ghost and he just follows me around. Yeah.
When you talked about, oh, now I'm reading books, I was about to say audio books, but I didn't want to break up your little dream of reading books now.
I listen to books, okay?
Yeah.
It sounds though. I sound better when it's like I'm reading books.
Yeah, you sound like you're halfway
like,
literate.
And I got like little librarian glasses here that I never wear. So
old people glasses.
You can kind of imagine me like reading.
Her.
So. Look all I can't see what I have.
You look French now.
Little librarian look here.
Oh man! All right, time for a nap.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great show.
Thank you, Kellyanne, as usual.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you, Teddy. You did a wonderful job.
Teddy, except for the promo of Kelly's questions, he was in the bathroom though. That was explained.
Less fiber, Teddy. Less fiber.
Yeah.
We're not still on, are we?
Who cares?
Yay!
Better late than never.
Oh, now my dog is barking.
Even the dog liked it. Mommy's becoming a star.